A mother claims that a daycare ripped out her child's hair. Let's do it this way. I want to put up a picture of the child's hair first, the multiple pictures we have. All right, I want you to look at that, okay? I want you to look at that, right? Now let's put up a picture of the mother who's obviously upset. She should be. This is in Duluth, Georgia. A mother in Duluth is accusing employees at her child's former daycare of ripping the braids out of this 2-year-old off of her head. The mother, let's keep her picture up. Her name is Kaylin Brown. Ms. Brown says she was shocked and angered when she picked up her daughter and saw a bald patch in the back of her head on top of the hair beads she came to school with removed. They were removed, all right? She said the story she was told by daycare officials did not add up. According to daycare officials, it all started with another student ripping the toddler's beads out. The statement, however, from Creekstone Daycare Academy said they did notify her about the March 28th incident and asked her not to put beads in her daughter's hair for safety reasons. Brown said because they showed no policy against beads, she continued to put them in her child's hair. But the next week, when the 2-year-old came home, she found bald patches in her scalp. When I did speak to the owner of this place, the mother said, he told me this was something that could have happened while my child was at home in my care. I really don't appreciate it and I'm very hurt, I'm very angry, she said. Brown said a day later, her 2 children were no longer enrolled at the daycare. A statement from Creekstone said it was the result of the Browns' inappropriate behavior, screaming and yelling at the director. Well, let me say this, all right. They're lucky that's all she did. I can't imagine the feeling of a parent. I'm a parent. I can't imagine somebody returning my child to me in a daycare, returning my child to me after daycare, and my child's hair is ripped out along with her beads, all right? That would make me extremely upset, all right? The state officials confirmed they opened their investigation into the incident on Tuesday after a complaint was filed. Griffin said they take these complaints very seriously and the investigation could take up to 30 days. The president of Creekstone Daycare Academy, her name is Yvette Drake. Yvette Drake, let's put up a picture. Buck stops with her. She's the person in charge of day-to-day management. We are expecting this to be a full and exhaustive and fair investigation to make sure we find out what happened to this child. I will say this, when a child has hair ripped out of their head, they cry, okay? They cry. You mean to tell me that this happened by way of another child and nobody at the institution made a report, informed the parent, said, hey, we have a medical issue here, this is what happened? None of that took place, doesn't add up to me either. All right, David, thoughts on this?
Look, we had an incident a couple of years ago where our son, when he was in the equivalent of daycare, he came home and he had a perfectly round bite mark on his arm. And we were horrified. And so my wife and I, we went and spoke to the teacher. And the teachers were very understanding, they were very sympathetic, and they very gently said, you know, we think this is something that he was doing to himself. We didn't see another student do it, and we were like, oh no, he would never do that to himself, because we're protective as parents. But it turns out that, yeah, he was biting himself. And the difference in all of this was that the teachers were empathetic. They were understanding. They knew that something had happened that wasn't appropriate. And they were trying to be very understanding to us as parents. And as a result, there was a conversation, there was a communication, it was all respectful, and we got the matter resolved. It sounds like in this case, there was such an adversarial nature of this daycare to the mother to begin with. And instead of appreciating how angry she was and how upset she was, they decided, well, we're just gonna meet fire with fire. No, that's not your job. Your job is to be empathetic and understanding. You're taking care of children.
Yep. Listen, I can't tell you how many times as a professor, I've been in a position where there's a student has been wronged by the institution. Student gets in touch with me. Mom gets in touch with me, okay? Now, of course, when you're in college, you're an adult technically, but you're not, right? And I have been the advocate for the student and that family at the institution. Now, is it a risk? Of course there's a risk. But why else would you serve in the capacity of education or youth care or being a college professor if you don't give a damn about the college students more than you give a damn about offending an administrator? It's real simple for me.